All right, today we're going to tackle one of the biggest, most classic challenges in all of software engineering, designing a newsfeed that can actually work for billions of people. Yeah, billions. So yeah, let's just dive right into it. This is one of those classic system design questions that, honestly, every top software engineer really has to get their head around.
And that's what we're going to do. We're going to build this thing together, right now, starting completely from scratch.
Okay, first things first, the billion user challenge. Look, before we can even think about designing a system, we've got to understand the problem, right? We need to lay the groundwork and figure out exactly what this thing needs to do. And the very first thing, the most important constraint, is this number right here, 2 billion users. And that's not just a big number, It's the lens, it's the filter that every single decision we make has to pass through. So let's start with the functional requirements. These are basically the promises we make to you, the user, about what the product actually does. Pretty simple stuff, right? You can create a post, you can follow other people, and you get a feed of their posts. Newest first. Easy. And then you've got the non-functional requirements. Now, these aren't features you see, but they're just as important. They're about how the system feels. It's got to be up all the time. It needs to be lightning fast, like under half a second. And it absolutely has to scale to those 2 billion users without, falling over, even if someone has 1 million followers. All right, on to our first draft. Now that we know what we need to build, let's put together our first version. We're going to start with a really simple, common sense approach. It's the one that probably pops into your head first. And it seems logical, but as we're about to see, it has a massive, fatal flaw. So here's how this naive approach works. When you open the app, the system goes, okay, who do you follow? It gets that list. Then it fetches all the posts from every single one of those people, mashes them all together, sorts them by time, and then finally shows you the latest ones. Now look, if you have 10 friends, this is instant. It's no big deal. But for 10 million, it's a complete and utter disaster. Yeah, this really simple process hides a huge performance bottleneck. Just think about it. Imagine you follow, say, 1,000 people, and each of them has posted 1,000 times. The server, in real time, has to pull and sort through 1 million posts just to show you the top few. There's just no way. It's going to be way, way too slow. So this brings us to what happens when a system like this breaks. Why does our simple, logical design just completely collapse? Let's dig into the technical reason, because it's a classic problem you see in pretty much any large-scale system. The core problem here is something called fan-out, and honestly, it's kind of the main villain of our story today. Your one single request to see your feed fans out into maybe hundreds or even thousands of internal requests to get all the posts from everyone you follow, and that just completely overwhelms the system. So this leads to a really crucial decision point. We have 2 core strategies. We can either do all that work when someone wants to read their feed, that's the pull model we just talked about, or we can do the work up front when someone writes a post. This is a fundamental trade-off in system design, fan out on read versus fan out on write. So, to make the feed feel instant for billions of people reading it, we have to flip the script. We're going to do the heavy lifting on the right side. What this means is, when you post something, our system immediately goes to work, pushing that post into a pre-computed feed for every single one of your followers. So the feed is always ready, just sitting there, waiting to be served up in a flash. Okay, so now we're solving for superstars. Our new fan-out on write approach sounds great, right? But it creates its own new massive problem. What happens when the person posting isn't just a regular user, but a celebrity? Someone with millions and millions of followers. Right. Just imagine someone with, say, 90 million followers. When they post, trying to update 90 million individual feeds at the exact same time, it's just impossible. The system can't do it. This is the dark side of our new approach. It's a fan-out on write problem, and it would bring our entire system to its knees. The answer is to not even try to do it instantly. We do this massive job asynchronously, which just means we do it in the background. So instead of trying to update 90 million feeds at once, the system just creates a little job ticket that says, hey, add this post to everyone's feed, and it throws that ticket onto a massive digital conveyor belt, a queue. Then a whole army of background computers, we call them workers, just grabs tickets off the belt one by one and gets the job done at a steady pace.
Yeah, the post might take a minute to reach everybody, but the crucial thing is the system doesn't crash.
And this leads us to a really elegant solution, a hybrid model. We don't use a one-size-fits-all approach. For the 99% of us, the regular users, we stick with that push model, where the feed is pre-computed. It's fast, it works. But for that top 1%, the celebrities, we flip back to the pull model. So when you open your feed, you get your normal, pre-made feed instantly. And then, at the same time, the system quickly goes and grabs the latest post from any celebrities you follow and just stitches them in on the fly. Best of both worlds. But of course, solving one problem creates another one. We've solved for superstar writers, but what about superstar posts? A single post can go viral and get read millions of times a second. This creates what we call a hotspot or a hotkey in our database. It's like millions of people all trying to get through the same single doorway at once. That one server holding the post just gets completely slammed. And the fix for this is actually pretty clever. We use redundant caching. Instead of having just one copy of that viral post on one server, we make lots of copies and stick them in a bunch of different independent caches. So now, instead of everyone hammering one machine, the load gets spread out across all of them. No single machine gets overwhelmed. Okay, let's step back for a minute and look at the big picture, the architect's mindset. We've gone from a really simple idea that breaks all the way to a complex hybrid system that can actually handle this incredible scale. So let's just recap the core principles we've learned, because these aren't just solutions for a newsfeed. They're the mental models that great engineers use all the time.
These takeaways are huge. You've got the core trade-off. Do you do the work on read or on write? Using queues and background workers for any heavy lifting. Realizing that a hybrid approach is often way better than trying to make one solution fit everybody. And solving for those hotspots with redundancy, not just by buying a bigger machine. At the end of the day, it's all a game of trade-offs: speed, cost, and consistency.
And once you see these patterns, you really do start seeing them everywhere. Think about it. Your Twitter timeline, your YouTube subscriptions, your TikTok For You page, every single one of these apps is wrestling with the exact same challenges of fan-out, hotspots, and just massive, massive scale. The details might be different, but the core principles are the same. So maybe the next time you're just mindlessly scrolling, take a second to appreciate the incredible amount of engineering that's happening behind the scenes to make it all feel so simple.